And this is the panorama you get from Paulina Peak, which is up on Newberry Crater, on the rim of Newberry Crater, which is kind of like Crater Lake, not a single caldera though. And as you can see, you get volcanoes everywhere, so there's volcanoes coming out of the mist there. The little guy was sitting on the top. You come over to here, you have the Three Sisters. A little further, there's Mount Jefferson, who's just about there. You can't really see him, but you might be able to. And what else have we got? So there's the first of the lakes in the crater, and there's this, by the way, is one of the largest obsidian flows around, and the Indians used to come here for the obsidian, and apparently they found it. You know, it's got a fairly unique chemical composition, and they've traced it all over the northwest, so they know that the Indians traded in it. There's the second lake, and you get all the sunbeams coming through, and finally there's another huge lava flow. Okay, this is the rim of Newberry Crater. That's a thunderstorm that's just gone over. There's my camera doing time lapse, and it's actually started a forest fire down there, just above there. There we go, that's the forest fire that the lightning just started. And this is the geology of a Newberry Crater. Oh, and down there's our two forest fires. Well, it's now sort of you see two little pools of smoke rather than just the one that was there earlier. Anyway, the geology of Newberry Crater. Now, this is actually kind of interesting because Newberry Crater apparently is different from the rest of the Cascades. The lava comes from the same place. So, and this is something that I've not come across before. They say that the oceanic plate actually carries down lots of water with it, which I didn't know. I had thought the water would have been separated out fairly early on, but according to this, that's where you get a lot of the water for puffing up your pumice or chemically to react with other stuff to make hydrogen sulfide and such like. Anyway, So what they say is Newberry volcano is big, bigger than the Cascades, or was, but it's different from the Cascades. All the Cascades tend to be these rather clean looking volcanic shields, whereas Newberry Crater is different. It's bigger, but according to what they say, is there's a load of little faults which makes it easier for the lava to come up, but in little bits. So these are all the little fractures in the earth for which it's easier for the lava to come through, and so each one's got a little volcano on it. And they think that Newberry Crater here was actually it's sat on a load of these faults. So actually loads of little bits of magma can come through the faults, whereas the Cascades is more single blobs of lava coming up and sort of bursting through onto the surface. Anyway, the method of the collapse, however, is very similar to Crater Lake. That basically the volcano farted out its guts, and then the caldera just slowly sank as it farted out the material of the molten magma chamber. Anyway, it started to rain, so I'm going to have to go and save the time lapse. But just so you know, I was wrong. That's an obsidian flow, and this one isn't a lava flow. It's another huge obsidian flow. This thing just over here. Okay, meanwhile down towards the visitors centre we have a lava bomb. Still fluid lump of lava thrown into the air during a volcanic eruption. Takes in a round shape, minimising surface area, and cools enough while in the air that it keeps its shape when it lands. And that's a particularly large one, they say. I well believe it. And then we got obsidian, 70% plus silica, natural glass. It's usually black or red, uncommon in volcanic areas, but found only in volcanic areas. Valuable for Native American tool making, freshly broken edges at the sharpest edge known. That's why they like them in surgery. So what this is basically is this is molten crustal rock. That's a specific type of crustal rock that's been melted and then cooled quickly to make it into a glass. And up at the visitor centre we have, what do we have? The closed visitor centre. We got a topographical, not topographical, 3-dimensional map. So the lakes are about 200 feet deep. Put that into perspective, Crater Lake was about 2,000 foot deep. And everywhere you find these obsidian flows, obsidian flow, obsidian flow, obsidian flow. And what that's probably related to is the fact that this was formed in a different way to the Cascades. The Cascades were bigger lumps of rock coming up through the crustal rock, and so that doesn't actually melt much. You only get a relatively small amount of the crustal rock melted around the outside. However, because this was loads of little fissures, you get quite good surface contact between the basaltic lava and the crustal rock, which gives you a much better chance of getting your obsidian. Well, that's my guess anyway. And then we have some volcanic rocks right there. And pumice, which is, of course, also fairly rich in silica. So basically probably the only difference between this and the obsidian is this stuff had lots of gas dissolved in it, so it's puffed up, whilst the obsidian cooled quickly, which and it didn't have gas in it, so it had no gas and it cooled quickly. That classified it. And I've also got some cinters here, which are actually astoundingly light for cinters. So this is the sort of igneous rock that's been inflated by whatever the gases were dissolved in it. And rhyolite, which is it's just your sort of regular crustal rock that's usually been cooked. And they also have some cones. including the infamous sugarcane pine, just to give you some sense of perspective. That's not actually a particularly big one either. Not particularly familiar with any of these, and the ponderosa pine. That's what coats all these places. And this is a huge block of pumice. And the thing that's really bizarre about this is it looks like it's got grain to it. I've got no idea what causes that. Normally with pumice it's just air bubbles like that. Yeah, I've got no idea what caused this. I have no idea what caused that at all. Anyway, it's very light. Very, very light. I wonder what caused that.